You never expect the knife to come from behind the face that fed you, because from the moment you learned the word family, you were trained to believe that blood was a shield, that shared history meant shared loyalty, that the people who knew you first would never be the ones to wound you last. And yet here you are carrying a silence that feels heavier than anger, heavier than grief, because the deepest pain is not inflicted by strangers. It is delivered by those who knew exactly where to strike, exactly which memory to corrupt, exactly which version of you would collapse under the weight of their words or their absence. You've carried this longer than you admit. There is a moment when the illusion cracks, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a hairline fracturing glass, when you realize that the betrayal didn't begin with the final act. It began years earlier in small dismissals, subtle comparisons, quiet envy, conditional love disguised as concern, and the shock isn't that they hurt you. It's that part of you always knew they would, but you weren't allowed to name it, because to question family is to violate a sacred rule written before you were old enough to speak. So you stayed silent, because silence felt safer than truth, and obedience felt easier than exile. And in that silence, something inside you learned the wrong lesson. It learned that pain from family must be endured, that loyalty requires self-erasure, that survival means shrinking yourself so others can remain comfortable. And this is where the real damage begins. Not at the moment of betrayal, but at the moment you taught yourself that love must hurt to be real. This is the forbidden truth no one prepares you for. Family doesn't hurt you because they hate you. They hurt you because they know you, because they have access, because they were there before you learned how to defend yourself, before you had language for boundaries, before you understood that closeness without respect is just proximity to danger. You're not broken. You were never taught another way. Family betrayal feels impossible to escape because it doesn't live in a single memory. It lives in your nervous system, in the way your body tightens before your mind catches up, in the reflex to explain yourself when you're accused, in the guilt that rises whenever you choose distance over duty. Because the betrayal didn't just come from them, it came with rules, unspoken laws that said, you owe us access, you owe us forgiveness, you owe us silence. And the cruelest part is this: when a stranger betrays you, the world gives you permission to walk away. But when family does it, the world asks you to be understanding, patient, mature, to be the bigger person, as if size has anything to do with self-respect, as if enduring harm is a virtue rather than a slow erasure of the self. You were taught that blood is thicker than truth, thicker than safety, thicker than your own reality. And once that belief takes root, it becomes a prison disguised as loyalty. Notice how the betrayal never comes clean. It arrives wrapped in justification, in denial, in gaslighting so subtle you question your own memory, your own feelings, your own perception. And over time, you start asking the wrong question. Not, why did they do this? But what's wrong with me for feeling this way? That question is the inheritance they leave you. You survive things you still don't have words for because naming the wound would mean naming the source. And naming the source would mean breaking a rule that says family must be protected at all costs, even if the cost is you. So you adapt. You become hyper-aware, reading moods, anticipating shifts, learning how to disappear emotionally while remaining physically present. And the tragedy is that this skill, born in betrayal, follows you into the world, shaping your relationships, teaching you to tolerate what you should walk away from, teaching you to confuse familiarity with safety. This is the moment your life begins to make sense. Because once you see the pattern, you understand why betrayal by family feels endless. It's not one wound, it's a system, a structure built on unearned access and unquestioned authority. And until you see it as a system, you keep trying to heal from individual moments, wondering why nothing ever fully closes. The first psychological shift happens when you stop asking for closure from people who benefited from keeping you confused. Because family betrayal doesn't seek resolution, it seeks control, and control survives on your hope that one day they'll understand, one day they'll apologize, one day they'll change. Hope becomes the leash. And this is where the teachings attributed to Machiavelli cut through the sentimentality like a blade through silk. Not because they are cruel, but because they are honest about power, about proximity, about the danger of giving permanent access to those who have proven they will misuse it. A ruler who ignores betrayal invites another, and a child who is taught to ignore it grows into an adult who confuses endurance with strength. You feel the shift when you realize that family can betray you not once, but repeatedly, precisely because they believe they are exempt from consequence, because tradition has told them they will always be forgiven, always be welcomed back, always be protected by the idea of blood. And the moment you see that, something inside you hardens, not into bitterness, but into clarity. You stop over-explaining, you stop defending your distance, you stop asking permission to protect yourself. Because you finally understand that loyalty without reciprocity is not love. It is exploitation with a familiar face. This realization is dangerous because it threatens the entire structure you were raised in. It threatens roles, expectations, narratives that depended on your silence. And when you begin to withdraw, even quietly, the system reacts not with understanding, but with accusation, guilt, and emotional pressure. Because systems fight to survive. They will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. They will remind you of everything they've done for you. And in that moment, the old version of you wants to collapse, to explain, to make them comfortable again. But the new awareness whispers something colder, something steadier, something true. You don't owe access to anyone who weaponized intimacy against you. The hidden threat in family betrayal is not the act itself. It's the belief it implants, the belief that closeness requires sacrifice, that love must be proven through suffering, that boundaries are betrayal. And as long as that belief lives inside you, the betrayal never ends. It simply changes faces. This is why walking away feels like treason, because you were conditioned to equate separation with cruelty, even when separation is the only path to sanity, and the internal conflict becomes unbearable. The part of you that longs for peace at war with the part of you that was trained to endure. You feel it in your chest when you choose not to answer the call. You feel it in your stomach when you say no without explanation. You feel it in the silence that follows, heavy with everything unsaid. It's okay to feel this. You're allowed to want more. You're not imagining this. Family betrayal cuts deepest because it targets the foundation, the place where your identity was formed. And when that foundation is unstable, everything built on top of it shakes. But here is the forbidden truth that changes everything. You are not required to live inside a structure that harms you just because it existed first. Machiavellian wisdom is often misunderstood as heartless, but at its core is a simple principle. Power belongs to those who recognize reality without flinching, and the reality is this. Some bonds exist not to nurture, but to dominate, not to protect, but to preserve hierarchy. And once you see that, the question is no longer, how do I fix this? But why am I still inside it? The moment you ask that, the balance shifts. You don't announce your departure. You don't justify your distance. You simply begin to reclaim your energy, your attention, your time. And this quiet withdrawal is more threatening than any confrontation because it removes the very thing the system fed on, your compliance. And as you step back, you notice something unsettling. The guilt starts to loosen, the fear starts to fade, and in the space where obligation once lived, something unfamiliar appears. Relief, not because the pain is gone, but because for the first time it is no longer being denied. You are standing at the edge of a door you were never meant to see, and beyond it is a life defined not by blood, but by choice, not by loyalty demanded, but by respect earned. There is a quiet revelation that arrives after the shock fades, after the anger burns itself down to embers. When you realize the betrayal was never just about what they did, it was about what they expected you to tolerate, because family betrayal only works on those who were trained to confuse obligation with love. And the moment you stop confusing the two, the spell begins to break. You begin to see how often you were asked to understand them, to forgive them, to excuse them, while your own pain was minimized, reframed, or erased. And the realization lands slowly, painfully, but clearly empathy was demanded from you as a duty, never offered to you as a gift. This is where reflection turns dangerous. Because once you see that pattern, you can no longer unsee it. And you start noticing how the same dynamic echoes everywhere. In friendships where you overgive, in relationships where you explain yourself into exhaustion, in workplaces where your loyalty is rewarded with expectation instead of respect. If this is resonating, pause with it. Don't rush past the discomfort, because what you're feeling isn't weakness, it's recognition. And recognition is the first real step out of the maze. You might even feel the urge to tell your story, to finally be heard, to finally be validated, and that impulse makes sense. You've been holding this alone for too long. But understand this, not everyone deserves access to your truth, and not every ear is safe. Sometimes the most powerful acknowledgement comes not from being understood by them, but from understanding yourself. And if you feel called to stay with this journey, to keep unraveling the patterns that shaped you, you already know where to be, because awareness is contagious, and once it starts, it doesn't stop quietly. There are small moments that follow this realization, moments that seem insignificant from the outside, but internally feel seismic, like the first time you don't answer immediately, the first time you decline without an excuse, the first time you choose rest over obligation. And in those moments, the old programming screams that you are doing something wrong. Your body reacts before your mind does. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral into imagined consequences. And yet nothing catastrophic happens. The world doesn't end. You are not struck down for disobedience. And in that gap between fear and reality, something shifts, a micro moment of freedom that teaches you a new rule. Boundaries don't destroy relationships. They reveal which ones were only surviving on your silence. You begin to notice how peace feels unfamiliar, almost suspicious, because chaos was normalized, tension was routine, emotional labor was expected, and calm feels like an empty room you don't yet know how to furnish. It's okay to feel this. You were trained to survive, not to rest, and survival instincts don't turn off just because the threat is gone. So you move slowly, gently, learning how to exist without constant vigilance, learning that love does not require self-betrayal, learning that distance can be an act of care, not cruelty. These micro moments don't announce themselves as healing, but they accumulate quietly, reshaping your inner world one choice at a time. You walk into a familiar space, a room that once felt like home, and you feel it immediately. The old pull, the expectation that you will slip back into your role, that you will absorb tension, smooth edges, make everyone comfortable at your own expense. You notice your posture change, your voice soften, your instincts prepare for impact. But this time, something is different. You notice the pattern as it unfolds. You see the subtle power plays, the comments that test your boundaries, the looks that search for the old version of you. And instead of reacting, you observe, detached, present, calm. You feel the weight of choice. You realize you are no longer trapped in automatic responses. You can pause, you can breathe, you can decide. And in that pause, you feel a quiet strength. Not loud, not aggressive, but grounded, a strength that comes from knowing you can leave, knowing you owe nothing beyond basic respect, knowing your worth is no longer up for negotiation. The room feels smaller now, not because you've shrunk, but because you've outgrown it. You sense the discomfort this creates in others, the subtle confusion, the unspoken question, why aren't you playing along? And you don't answer. You don't need to. Your presence alone is the answer. As you step further into this awareness, unresolved threads remain, questions that don't have clean answers, like whether reconciliation is ever possible, whether distance must be permanent, whether love can exist without access. And these questions linger not as problems to solve, but as spaces to explore. You begin to understand that not every story needs a resolution that looks good from the outside. Some endings are quiet, undefined, chosen over time rather than declared all at once. You also begin to sense a deeper shift, a reversal of power that no one warned you about. When you stop chasing approval, when you stop defending your boundaries, when you stop explaining your pain, the dynamic changes. The pressure moves off you and onto them. They begin to wonder, They begin to feel the absence of your emotional labor. They begin to sense that something they once took for granted is no longer available. And this is where the journey grows more complex, because power reclaimed brings new responsibilities, new choices, and a new kind of loneliness. The loneliness of no longer belonging to a system that defined you. But within that loneliness is possibility, the possibility of chosen family, of relationships built on mutual respect, of a self-defined not by inherited roles, but by conscious values. The path ahead is not simple, and it is not safe in the way obedience once was, but it is honest, and honesty, once tasted, is impossible to forget. There comes a moment when the rhythm breaks, when the constant tension you lived inside finally loosens its grip, and the silence that follows is unsettling, not because it's empty, but because it's unfamiliar. Like standing in a room without noise after years of shouting, and your nervous system doesn't know what to do with the quiet. This is where many people turn back. They mistake discomfort for danger. They confuse loneliness with loss. Because when you step away from family betrayal, you don't just lose people, you lose an identity, the role you were assigned before you had a choice, the version of you that existed to maintain balance, to absorb chaos, to keep the peace at your own expense. And without that role, you feel exposed. But this exposure is not weakness, it's recalibration. You are learning how to exist without armor that was never meant to protect you, only to keep you compliant. The rising suspense you feel now isn't about what they might do next. It's about who you might become without them shaping every decision, every reaction, every limit. And that uncertainty is powerful, because for the first time, your future is not being negotiated by people who benefit from your silence. As you move forward, you start to notice something subtle but undeniable. Your perception sharpens, your tolerance shifts, your instincts recalibrate, and you begin to see manipulation, guilt, and emotional control with clarity you didn't have before. This awareness changes how you move through the world. You listen more than you speak. You choose distance without apology. You recognize when someone is testing your boundaries rather than respecting them. And without announcing it, without declaring war, you begin living differently. Not louder, not colder, just clearer. This clarity becomes a quiet signal, not just to others, but to yourself. A signal that you are no longer available for dynamics that require self-betrayal as the price of belonging. And if you stay with this awareness, if you let it guide your choices, you'll notice something else. Your life begins to organize itself around truth instead of obligation, around alignment instead of expectation. You don't need to convince anyone of your reasons. You don't need to defend your absence. The people who matter will feel the difference. The ones who don't will reveal themselves by demanding explanations they are not entitled to. Family betrayal teaches one final, dangerous lesson, that the deepest wounds often come from the places we were told were safest. And once you understand that, you stop seeking safety in proximity and start seeking it in awareness, in choice, in self-respect. You realize that love without accountability is not love, it is entitlement. And loyalty that requires silence is not loyalty, it is control. And here is the line that changes everything, the one you carry with you as you step fully into your own authority, whispered, not shouted, steady and unshakable. Every system that survives on your silence fears the moment you learn you can walk away. Click on the screen to watch the next video on how this knowledge changes what happens next, what most people never realize after this moment, and what you will start seeing differently from now on.